Join me as I dive into the challenge of living with my Dominican partner and navigating all the surprising cultural differences we face every day. Living with someone from a different cultural background can be incredibly enriching. It's like having a constant influx of new perspectives, traditions, and experiences right in your own home. And that's exactly what I've gotten from being with my Dominican partner. But as amazing as it is, it also comes with its own set of challenges. And that's what I want to talk about today. When you're in a cross cultural relationship, one of the biggest hurdles you'll face is language barriers. My partner's first language is Spanish. And while I've gotten better at speaking it over the years, there are still times when I struggle to communicate in Spanish. It's not just about speaking different languages, though. It's also about understanding the nuances of each other's cultures. Like, I remember when we first started dating, my partner would get frustrated with me for being so direct all the time. In the Dominican culture, they tend to be more indirect in their communication, so it took some getting used to. Another challenge we've faced is our differing family dynamics. In the Dominican culture, family is incredibly important, and it's not uncommon for families to be very close knit. My partner's family is no exception. They're a big, loud, and loving family, and they've welcomed me in with open arms. But for me, coming from a more individualistic culture, it was a bit of an adjustment to get used to the level of closeness and involvement that my partner's family expects. For example, in my family, we don't usually discuss our personal business or finances with each other, but in my partner's family, that's just not the case. Of course, there are also the more mundane challenges, like navigating different social norms and customs. Like, I remember when we first moved in together, my partner would always leave the shower curtain open after taking a shower, and I'd always close it. It drove me crazy. But for my partner, it was just what they were used to doing in their household growing up. It's funny looking back on it, but at the time it was one of those little things that would drive me nuts. Despite all the challenges, though, we've learned to navigate our differences and come out stronger on the other side. And that's what I want to talk about next. Some of the specific cultural differences that we've encountered and how we've learned to appreciate and celebrate them.
Because I cannot eat that much food in one day. Like breakfast is traditional for me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, you have your
I have
waffles
my
and
waffles or
tea.
I have cereal, and I always have my tea because I'm British. But
So that makes four cultures for you.
yeah, that's cool because I also live in the UK. So the breakfast was okay. The lunch part, I now I understand, but I still have not changed my habit
No.
to the heavy dinner. I'll eat the heavy dinner, but I will not eat that again after. I won't. I'll
No,
have
you
something
probably have
light.
some
I'll
chips
have
or
some
maybe
chips, maybe another cup of tea or some juice, and that's it, or a little sandwich. But that big two dinners, and I notice here a lot of women, they will cook that heavy dinner at for 12, and they'll cook again
at night for
at
dinner.
night. Yeah, that was mind blowing to me.
Well, the other thing that you had trouble adapting was the electricity situation.
No, well, we're gonna touch on hot water. The hot water and
To peel your skin off hot water,
yes,
but you can't live
I
without
like
it.
hot water. I
Not
like to
me.
get
You
in
give
the
me a
shower.
bucket. Well,
And,
now I've become spoiled because of you.
yes, you have.
But
Yes,
hey,
you
I
have.
took a cold shower the other day.
Yes, you did because the water was situation was.
The water was watering.
Yes, it was watering, but that it's not over where we are now. It's not really a problem. They just needed to adjust the water from the heater to the bathrooms. It wasn't.
All right, let's not deviate. Let's
Okay.
keep going.
All right, and then now, what else was the lights?
Well, it was the light situation, but that's solvable
That's
with
solvable.
inverter. We got that. Now let's say about family. You know, like family dynamics.
Can we turn the camera a little bit more because I'm looking at the side. I mean.
And we're back. Okay, so we were talking about cultural differences when it came to family dynamics. Like here in DR, the family is very united in the sense that we talk about our financials, like we meet up almost every single day if we're close, stuff like that. Now, what about in your case? How does that work?
You know what? Sometimes I worry that I feel that your family might think that I'm not that close to them or not that, I wouldn't say warm, but not, like maybe I haven't adapted to the family, but it's not that, it's that in my
You're
culture.
not used to sharing, in your
I'm
culture,
not.
you're not used to like being so together
So
and sharing
together,
everything
like,
that's going
this-
on, calling each other every
yes,
single
every
day.
day, and like this could, like my mother lives in New York, and I talk to her once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's fine. We're okay with it. My brother, everybody, we talk to each other maybe once every 2 weeks or so. It's not a big deal. This is how we are. And a lot of us in the States, we don't tend to live so close to each other.
That is true.
We live far apart and maybe in different states. And we're not constantly, we're not constantly in each other's space.
And you're not constantly in contact. That's why sometimes that's what really leads most of the times. You've heard about those call scams, when they used to call, it's like, oh, it's your son and so from wherever, we haven't been in contact in a really long time and blah 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 blah. And you wouldn't even know if it's them or not because you don't even recognize their voice.
Mm-hmm.
So
but that, and I've heard it before, when you marry a Dominican, you marry their family.
it really well, no, you're right. You do.
I heard it before. Not even just Dominican, Latin Americans, period.
Yes.
You marry the entire family, and that's no lie. It's taken a little bit of getting used to for me because I'm not really I'm sort of a loner. I like my space. I like my time by myself because I'm always doing things that like I'm on the computer or I'm reading or something.
You're not used to uncalled visits. Is what you
I'm
mean.
not. If you're coming over, you need to call me ahead of time. Let me know that I'm expecting company. But not only that, with your culture, it's okay. You got grandma, you got mom, you got dad, you got brother, you got extended families,
The cousins and all of that.
and it can be a little well, it hasn't really been a problem for us.
No, because that's the thing is that sometimes, and that's something about Dominican or any kind of cultural family, if you know how to set boundaries, they will respect them because if you have a good family dynamic, all they want for you is to be happy, whether that means a little bit more distancing.
Yeah, but then your mom lives in the States, so she kind of knows how it works.
Yeah, but you know that at first, even that wasn't exactly a mood point for her. Okay, so another part was, or a challenge for you, was the language, which still gets to you sometimes.
Yes, because even though I took Spanish through high school and college, I didn't pay attention that much. I mean, it was not a priority. It was do this because it's required and let me just pass, okay?
Yeah, like just get it over with.
Let me just get it over with, and then again too, if you don't use it, you lose it. So whatever I knew, I lost it because I had nobody to speak to in Spanish. So now that I'm here and it's a requirement and it's a deficit, if definitely a deficit. Um, it has come back to me, but I know if I were fluent, it would
Be a lot easier.
ease a lot of the tension. And one of the big things for me, and I never told you, so this is a confession right now.
All right, go ahead.
This is a confession right now. One of the reasons why when you go around your family, I always say you go, I'm gonna stay home. Because when you guys get together, you all go off in Spanish. And I just sit there and I feel kind of dumb because I don't know what you all are saying. And I don't want to keep saying, why don't you all speak in English? Because you all know English.
Yeah, but you see, the funny thing is, and I don't get why you think you're dumb, because when I'm about to translate to you, you go like, yeah, I understood everything, and I'm like, okay then, so.
I know, but the flow, the communication flow, when you're talking,
Yes.
it's a flow.
Yeah.
So when you have to stop to tell me what you all are saying, it stops. The flow stops. And then,
Yeah, but
and
then
I say
but this
I
is the part
understand,
where I
but
think
I
that you
should
need
be
to.
able to respond back in Spanish instead of saying, okay, I'm gonna tell you not what we're saying. So now I have to stop and think about it, what to say in English. It just doesn't flow.
It just doesn't click to you. But
No.
this is what I'm going to tell you, and the you trying to exclude yourself is what's limiting you, because when you don't interact with those kinds of conversations on a regular basis, that's why you lose it. But you've noticed that since you started, like when it was frequent, you could understand and follow the flow of the conversation, and you could even answer. Even if it's in English, you could answer it right away. Like last time, you were answering. You even held the conversation with Christina, and there was a lot of stuff that wasn't lost in translation to you. And she was in between
But
Spanish.
Christina speaks slow and pronounces the words so I can understand.
But you see, if you don't hear it long enough in a faster pace, you're never gonna learn it. Esa es la parte que tú no entiendes.
But I understood that. But still.
Exactamente, tú lo entendiste porque tú lo has escuchado muchísimas veces.
But it's still Dominican Spanish, as I've been told by somebody who speaks Spain's Castilian Spanish. It's
that
not
annoying.
real Spanish.
That's just annoying.
They
Spanish.
said
they add certain words that are just
they're
weird.
saying it's like a slang Spanish. So am I learning the slang Spanish?
You're learning the Latin American Spanish. That's how it's defined.
But is that the Castilian Spanish? It's not. Because when I go into when I go into the Google Translate and you put in some things, it comes up totally different. The answer is like, that's not what we were talking about. Like, okay, when I do my thing online, right? Remember when I had the ad and people were sending me messages. And then when you told me, you said translate it, and I put it into GPT, it will come out like, oh, the cat is 3 times old or some nonsense. Like it just wasn't.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Next time you try to plug it in, put to translate this to Latin American Spanish, and that should fix it.
Okay.
Because sometimes, and you're right, people confuse, because Spanish from Spain and Spanish from thing, all right. But remember, AI is not perfect, so that's why it can't like put the differences when it's trying to translate. But I've never ran into that problem before. But you also have to understand that you're using an American-based account to ask ChatGPT things. You've seen that we had to do some switch. But anyway, going back.
All right, going back. Now, you speak to me all the time in English.
Yes, because you get annoyed when I speak too much in Spanish.
No, but you don't, for me to be hearing it constantly, I should be hearing you speak to me in Spanish in the household, because I'll say, Ricardo, what's this in Spanish, what's that, and you'll tell me. Once I hear it, I remember. But you speak to me because you tend to be practicing your English with me most of the time.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I do not.
Ricardo, you speak English. I even asked you what are you thinking? Spanish or English? You said English. That's
Yes.
not normal for Spanish.
Are you saying I'm not normal?
No, I'm saying Spanish being your first language, you should not be thinking in Spanish.
Well, I sometimes do, but it's just I just feel that my thoughts flow better in English. Is that a crime?
No, so therefore you're tending to lean to English more now than Spanish. If
Okay.
you were not working where you work and you have to speak Spanish, you probably speak English all the time.
Nah.
Well, when you play game with Marco and them online, you speak Spanish. You're speaking nothing but Spanish.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, but when you're around me, you're speaking mostly English.
Well, yeah, because I don't want to make every single interaction a challenge, and you wouldn't like it either.
No, I wouldn't, but maybe if you...
No, maybe if I threw you into the wolves like I did that one time in Miami, then maybe you'd be practicing. You had a whole conversation and it wasn't a challenge, and she understood you and you understood her because you had no choice. Exactly. So maybe I should stop giving you a choice.
Exactly. But you know what, too? Before we started dating, and I was here pretty much on my own, and I had my business, I used to get around.
Yeah, of course. You used to
around.
take taxis.
I
You used to
taxis. I
take.
used to
Ask questions.
ask questions. I would go to the grocery store. I did everything pretty much in whatever Spanglish I knew. But
And-
since I met you and we're together, it's like I've lost.
So you're saying it's my fault?
Because you've made me dependent on you being there all the time.
So and then when I leave you alone, you say it's like, Ricardo, where are you? Come over here. I don't understand. What, are you gonna deny it? You even call me.
Yes. Well, because it's your fault.
No, it's not.
You've made me dependent on you.
No, I
Yes,
have
you
not. No, I have not. That is a lie. Well, it's kind of true, but
It is
still.
true.
No, it's not. It's just that you keep depending on me to. I'm going to do a consulate move on you again. I'm gonna have someone come to the house, do something, and then you're just gonna
Hey,
have
that
to.
happened today, and what the guy said to turn the lights off because he wanted to check the light. And
Okay.
I called you, and just as I called you to tell you he was here, he had turned all the lights off, so you didn't get the message. So I looked at it, I said, oh boy.
There we go.
No WhatsApp.
All right. Wow. Okay. So I guess that would be the next hurdle, but at least the only tip I can give you, and this is something that you could do, like you did, like you spent most of the day here either way, but it's just that find even a series of Discovery Channel or whatever that you like watching, and watch it in Spanish, something that you've seen before, something that is interesting. That's how I learned English. Nobody believes me though.
I don't believe you, Ricardo.
Ah!
You did have some formal English education.
Just to learn how to write, and I still need to do spell checks on whatever I type.
Well,
So there.
So well, maybe you're a genius or something. I don't know.
I wish.
But anyway, it is what it is. But that's one of my goals for this year, to be fluent. And I'm definitely, if I have to take lessons, I'm going to, because I need to increase. It's not that I don't understand. I don't know how to say it. So I need to increase my vocabulary. That's my problem. Vocabulary is lacking. So
Yeah.
once I get the vocabulary, and I know I've watched a couple of Spanish
Soap operas and
no, people that teach Spanish online, and they say you increase by a certain amount of words every time you keep increasing. You increase your vocabulary, and then once your vocabulary gets to be over 1,000 words or something, you really can communicate. You can.
Well, I mean, there are 3 words that I know that still stonewall you, though. I'll keep them to myself. Don't worry, I won't say anything. So
Because they are, to me, don't make sense.
all right. So any takeaways for this video, since we're pretty much finished covering?
What's a cuchilla? What's a cuchilla?
Cuchillo.
What's a cuchillo?
That's a knife.
What's a fork?
The tenedor.
A tenedor.
Yes.
A tenedor, it sounds like a song.
The tenedor son, yo te tengo.
They're like a tenor, like you're singing tenor.
Yeah,
and then the spoon.
Cuchara.
Cuchara. So cuchilla and cuchara
Sounds
sounds
similar.
good, but the tenedor is completely off.
Yeah, you just can't.
It just
Cubierto is the other one. The thing is, I give you
it's
tenedor, so you try to get it, but that is still your brick wall. You can't.
it's you need to put some stickers on it so I see it. You know, the subconscious is always on. So if I see it, every time I see it, I can relate it. And
Okay,
that's what you need to do.
I promise to go to the 10 peso store and I'll buy a huge fork, a huge cuchara, and a cubierto, and then just hang them up and
Yeah,
draw the names on
that
them.
would be good. That would be good.
You big baby.
Yes, yes. In some respects, I am.
All right.
So,
So
what's next?
no, I
Oh,
mean,
the marriage thing now.
why?
Okay, then let's go to the dating.
Why?
Because people want to know how we met. Okay.
I mean,
We
can
told
we?
the story already. Just do a condensed version.
But we already did a
But
condensed.
they, like you just said, they might not have seen that video.
Why?
Oh, don't stop.
I mean, I think we should talk mostly about the hurdles that we faced when we were trying to get married.
Oh, okay. Let's get to that. That was almost didn't happen
Yeah, I
because
know.
I was done. He was the one that went through with it and got the necessary
Okay,
documents.
so here's the thing. There are always a couple of prerequisites before you can marry, whether you'd be foreigner or not. And the first thing that they ask you for is a birth certificate, an original birth certificate.
Mine was original.
Yeah, but yours was it was not recently
Right,
issued.
okay.
It was a
Alright.
bit. It was out of the way. It was still thing. It was like I had to literally call to the consulate in Jamaica to get an updated one, which looks really nice. It's blue paper.
How did you know how to call the consulate?
I winged it, okay?
Okay.
I winged it. I just thought, okay, there has to be like we're living in a technological world where you're supposed to be able to get anything online. So I just thought, okay, I'm gonna have to go to the Jamaican consulate, man, online, and I checked for online services. Cause here in DR you can get stuff through the online services.
But you didn't.
Yes, I did.
It was mailed.
Yes, but I solicited and paid it online
Oh, okay.
with my card of credit. But yeah, like they were always asking for prerequisites. They were asking for a birth certificate. And then after getting the birth certificate, you had to have it translated. And then after getting it translated, you have to get it apostillado, which is a fancy Dominican word for having it stamped or sealed. The thing is that nobody has found out that apostillar means that.
Like a notary public, right? Is like a notary public?
Yeah, a public
There's-
note and a translator.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a translator that usually does. Like you have to go to a certified translator, which soon I will be too. Just tentatively.
That comes too with your degree?
No, that's like I do a course for it, but I get certified too.
Oh.
I already have my degree. I just need to register in the lawyer thing, but right now they're having a lot of conflicts. That'll be for another video.
Yeah.
So that's why I haven't registered with them yet. But either way, it took us about 4 months. Like after I proposed, it was a nightmare because every time we would go, they would say, okay, this paper's wrong. And I'm like, so why didn't you say it last time? And then this paper's wrong. Why? Because it's wrong. I know you gave up on it. You said you weren't coming back. But if I had to give anybody a tip, it's that. It's birth certificate, have everything translated, and be ready to go around a couple of times depending on, and if I remember right, the cost was about $300 US, give or take. Then you can set your own date. In a sense, it just can't be rushed, like it can't be like in the same week or anything, but you can decide the date when you want to have the marriage and the time. They will check if their schedule is available. I remember we had like 5 weddings that same day before us.
Yeah.
And someone, I was getting nervous because there were 5 other weddings that were supposed to be after hours, and someone was doing her makeup for an extra 2 hours.
It's called being fashionably late.
That wasn't fashionable to me. I was nervous. I thought I was going to be left in the altar twice.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So we did that.
Yeah, we did that. We managed to get our wedding going through, and And it's something, and I think the reason why it's so hard is because people usually here in DR, being married is not so much of going through the formalities. 90% of people, when you're both living together, technically you're married. When you leave your own house, your house to move together somewhere, and most of the marriages happen like with the lower age group. But
Okay,
usually,
so we're gonna read what we pulled up the statistics about marriage in Dominican Republic.
can I do it?
Okay, go ahead. Lord.
But why don't you like
All
it?
right, go ahead. Just go ahead. Do it.
Fine.
Do it.
In the Dominican Republic, cohabitation is significantly more common than traditional marriage. Approximately 31.4% of Dominicans, I think it's around a 50 honestly, but still, age 15 or older live in common law relationships compared to the 18.5% who are legally married. It's probably lower than that though. Anyway, this trend reflects a cultural preference for informal unions often influenced by concerns about legal and financial complexities of divorce. Yeah, because here you get half and half of everything, pretty much. Whether
So I noticed the age group, it says 15.
I think the thing is that because this is something more about a tradition, and that's it. And remember chastity, because we can't say the other thing. Chastity plays a very important role where if you take a minor's chastity, you have to be responsible for them from then out. So the minor must move in with you, etc., etc., etc.
Okay, but what is the age of consent here?
The age of consent is after 16 you can get emancipated.
So 15 is statutory rape? If you're saying chastity is statutory rape?
Well, yeah, if they report it, but the thing is that most of the time, like, there's even a law that says it's called seduction of minors if they get reported to the Fiscalia and all of that. But most of the times, like, the minors decide to move out with the person too.
And what's usually the parents' take on that traditionally?
The parents' take is that okay, you all want to be happy. He has to be able to provide, and you got to move out of the house. That's pretty much the main thing. He has to be responsible. Period.
So it says here that the preference for cohabitation has been increasing over
the
decades, while what?
While the percentages of married couples have decreased. The mirrors broader trends across Latin America and other regions where cohabitation is often viewed as more flexible and less risky arrangement compared to formal marriage.
So it also said that the reason why they opt for living together is because
the responsibilities are easier to handle when you're both living together.
And it's easier to separate. You
Well,
don't have
yeah.
to go through that divorce.
Yeah, because you see, it's like we just explained, like just getting married is a cost, but getting divorced is also a cost, and you actually have to contract a lawyer to get divorced, but not to get married. You notice that we didn't have to go through the caveats of lawyers.
Right. So the religion here is Catholic, right?
Yes.
And in the Catholic faith,
It doesn't allow divorces, but that's why you don't see a lot of Catholic marriages either. In like actual churches. Like when you see a marriage in a church, it's usually a make believe, not but you don't see that very often. Also, you haven't seen that many big churches where you could get married here. Like they have churches every 2 or 3 blocks, but those are like personal churches. The little dingy churches.
The little churches. So so therefore, even though it's a Catholic country, you all are not going according to the rules then.
In
Catholicism.
Well, that's the thing. It's like how man, we're getting really deep into the religion now, but still, you see that some people are firm believers, like they go congregate, they go to Sunday church, and there are some people that just have a Bible and they say, "Oh my God," etc., etc. You know how that's how church goes. Even though our culture is mainly Catholic, that doesn't mean like there isn't half Catholics or what you would call atheists. Like, we're not all Catholics, it's just predominant in a sense.
Okay, so generally, I mean, another thing I notice here a lot is a lot of girls have babies very young.
Yes, that is a problem, but that's the same thing as what happens when, when they start relationships very young, they get influenced by social media, etc., 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 and they decide to leave the house before when they're minors, and then when they have the kid, the guy, well, bye.
Bye.
Yeah, they decide to go back and live with their parents, and sometimes the parents don't even accept that
So
because they went against their parents' wishes sometimes to leave so early and start a relationship with someone they didn't even know.
so therefore, is I'm gonna say termination of pregnancies illegal here?
Yes, it is illegal
It's
here.
illegal.
It's not. It's nothing like. It's not something that you won't. You can't go to a hospital and say, okay, I want to get rid of this. No, it doesn't work like that. Um, if I had to say, like some women would, and I'm telling you this because I've seen it happen. It's happened. People close to me where they have induced miscarriages just so they don't have the responsibility of having kids, and the doctors will treat it, because it's a medical emergency. That's the way that they see it, and that's how it works.
The older women that know all the tricks and the pills that you can take and the drink that you can drink. I remember those things growing up in Jamaica, like you go,
Purple leaf that you can boil in water and then just drink a cup and then it's over. Yeah, I know. I've seen that. I've actually seen people do that here. And there's also drinks, which I bet a lot of people would like to know which ones they are, that will prevent you from gestating or anything else
well,
for months.
now they have the Plan B, which is the
Nobody believes that.
it does work though.
I know it works, but have you seen anybody using it here? Like,
But
have you heard anybody use
I
it?
don't know that many women here, young women here, but
Honey, you've seen women that work in the public life that they don't even use it.
No, but what I'm saying in the public life.
Yes, you know exactly what I mean. I'm not gonna say the P
In
word.
the public life.
Line, you got it already. Stop chastising me.
All right,
Fine.
okay, but prescriptions here, there's a pharmacy or two on every block.
Yes, there is.
And 9 out of 10 things you don't need a prescription for.
You need prescriptions.
You might not even need it. I'm glad he said it. 9 out of 10
You
things
need you guys are using prescriptions.
don't need a prescription for. You just go into the store and tell them what you want. So therefore,
If you know the name, yes.
So-
And here's a little hack. If you're looking for a certain medicine, but you don't know, like you can't find it because of its, let's say, American issued name, go to Google, translate it, and then find the Spanish equivalent. And that's it.
but okay, I'm going back to the after.
FX.
No, I'm talking about the prevention of pregnancy
Yes.
pill. If it's sold here, it's in the pharmacy without a prescription. So all these, unplanned pregnancies of young women shouldn't really be happening now.
No, they shouldn't.
Shouldn't.
But you know why I believe it happens?
Why?
Because, well, even in the States, you know that they have sex ed, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't, I didn't get that in school. I went to a private school and got it, but like in public schools, maybe now they've started doing that, but that's not something that's completely like involved in the curriculum and they don't teach it properly.
Okay.
And that's the thing about like when it comes to birth control, and parents don't usually have the talks with kids either. You don't see that anymore. Parents are letting the internet do the raising.
But another key point,
Mm-hmm.
when I was doing my research for another video, it says that going to school, that third, they talk about the primary education, which is
Middle school.
preschool, and then you have middle school. And
Yes, and then
12
bachiller.
to 18 is not mandatory. I could not believe it. It's not mandatory to go to school between 12 from 12-year-old to 18. You're no longer required to go to school if you choose not to in this country.
Yes.
That I cannot. I don't.
Well, that's the thing, and it really has to play into the economical aspect of things because if you're old enough to drive a motor, then you're old enough to be a motoconcho, and then you're old enough to bring bread to the house. Because the first thing that they see is that even if they finish middle school or whatever, that they won't be able to get a job or anything, and they want money fast.
Because I noticed when we were living in the
Because.
other place, remember all those guys with the motos that would come around, and I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, why aren't they in school? They're at that 16, 15, they should be in school. And it's like no big deal. I keep saying, is school open today? Not knowing that it's not required. So there's no truant officer coming to look for you because you didn't show up for school. Once you hit 12, you're on your own.
Yeah, but you see, that's the thing about having actual parents that want you to go to school and all of that, because there are some that are more strict when it comes to that. Like you see, my brother, for instance, he wants all of his kids to finish school. After they finish school, then they can decide what they want to do. But there are parents that are fed up with it. They're done because the kids keep getting into trouble, et cetera, and they don't want to deal with it. So they decide to let them free reign. It's like, okay, you're not gonna go to school, then you're gonna have to start working.
So that's why I've heard that I don't know the percentage of Dominicans have less than an eighth grade education, and I didn't believe it, but now I actually do.
Well,
I mean, in certain classes, I would say certain classes.
in certain classes, yes, but I would have to say that the main thing is that when you see that your society is educated and they don't make it, being well educated, and you see that you can, even without an education, you can make it big. That's what a lot of Dominicans believe in. That's why you see a lot of them, like the Dominican dream is to go to the States, and they don't have to study to go to the States. They just have to know a little bit of English and have a bit of game to spit. It's hard to say it like that,
Yeah.
but
So that's another cultural difference because coming from Jamaica, which was under British rule for so many years, our thing there is education. They're really big on education. Like, I mean, everybody I know goes through high school and into college. It's like
it was mandatory.
it's mandatory. It's not like it's not like you're gonna
Now in
question.
the States, if your kids stop going for a week at school,
They
they will send a
They
police
will
officer to your house to see what's going
The
on.
truant officers they send out,
Oh, that's what they're called.
or social services they'll contact. So they'll send somebody to the house. They'll contact your family to find out what's going on. Because even if the young girl is pregnant, they have schools that they can go to while they're pregnant, have the baby, but they're not gonna miss school. So
Yeah.
this to me that was a little
Just a bit off-putting.
off-putting for me that it's not mandatory. I don't know how the government could just sanction that one.
Really, I think it's about sanctioning the parents more than the actual students, but then it's a lot of parents.
Yeah,
It's a lot of people.
but then it also has to be.
They would have to pull their resources into that. I don't know if you understand.
I
There's not
understand.
exactly a lot of resources to pull. It's more right now. Resources are being pulled into public security. With more patrols, more police, better training for police officers, etc., etc.
But then don't you think that if people educate themselves more, then the standard of living becomes higher, and the country benefits from it because you have more educated people.
I think you're right.
And I think it does have to do with your family, and it has to do also with the child, because if you want to better yourself, even though it's not mandatory, you're gonna want to go to school.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's why you see my take on it. Even when it comes to, I don't have any kids, so when it comes to my niece specifically, you see that I'm very adamant, and I tell her, look, while you're going to school, you have everything from me. I have your back. But the day you decide you're not going to study anymore, you lost me. I'm not saying I'm gonna stop being your uncle. I'm just saying it's never gonna be the same. And that I know is a motivation for her to keep going. And she's a straight A student. She's gotten honor rolls. She's gotten things. But what I'm saying is, like, you don't get that from every kid either. Like, you have to have a constant motivator, and I think that the parenting has lost that because it's giving your kid a goal to strive for. That's why school was important. But remember that we've learned that school just trains workers. They don't really teach them what they need to do to succeed in life. Sometimes in university you can get that, but not in regular school. Regular school, and that's something that I heard in a video too, that school just teaches you to be in a place on time every single day and to listen to what they tell you to do every single day. What do you do at work? You get there on time, you go there every single day, they tell you what to do, and then you get gratified or paid for it. That's it, that's what work is.
Okay, another thing that you know is a big deal for me here, and I had my first experience it was riding on a motorbike.
Oh,
That
right.
was scary. I will never do it again.
Why not?
I don't even know how I didn't turn the bike over because
I was keeping us balanced.
I was like, no.
Well, the thing is, and I think we can end this conversational skit here.
That's not part of my culture. And I pointed it out to you that I noticed that I see babies on the guy used to put the baby on the front of the bike. So they've been accustomed to it from high. So
Well, because that's usually the only kind of transportation they can afford besides the guaguas. The guaguas. And no, I'm going like this not to make fun of anybody, because do you know how they always tend to speak? I'm saying like this is how you have to huddle up in a guagua while we're all smooshed together, while the door is open and people are hanging off the side. Yes, that is not an exaggeration. You'll probably see a picture of it here or here after our star editor does her thing. Her, obviously. So yeah, that's the thing. When you, like I told you the other day, that how easy it is to afford a bike. You could literally get a bike with $200, and then just start paying it, start doing monthly payments or whatever. It's easier to get a bike than to get a car, 100%. And the bike isn't just a modes of transportation; it's a way to make money. That's why you see so many motoconchos or even deliveries and stuff like that.
yeah, it is. It's
But when you see 5 kids, you kind of get.
I've seen like
4 people,
furniture, the stove,
the washing machine.
the washing machine. It's like amazing.
Like you see the guy with the washing machine in the back, and you see them hanging on one hand driving the bike, and then the other hand riding with the thing. Is like.
Yeah, but that's just
part of the culture. It's like if you have to look for an approximate 70% of the vehicles that are transiting are bikes or motorbikes, are two-wheeled vehicles.
And why don't you just do a little quickie on how expensive cars are here?
Why?
No, we're gonna end it after this, but we're gonna go into that later on because we're actually in the process of looking for another car now.
Yes.
But buying a car here is a production.
Yes, it is. Unless you have $4,000 to $5,000 to drop like right then and there, unless you have good credit, which I do. But still, you will need to come up with at least if you want a modern car, and even for the older cars, it really depends on the brand of the vehicle that you're looking for. Like if you're looking for a Toyota or a Honda, they're not cheap, but it's because they don't lose their value in time.
But the expense comes because most of the cars here are imported.
All of the cars.
All of, because nothing is manufactured.
Even the bikes, none of the bikes are fabricated here. They're all imported.
They're all imported, so it's passed on to you.
Yeah.
And I don't know about the interest rates, but
it usually depends on if you're doing any finances and stuff like that. If you're paying cash, you don't have to worry about interest rates or anything of the sort.
But the average car here, if you want a decent car like a Toyota or a Honda or something, you're talking about what? $20,000?
Yeah.
$30,000?
Yes.
If you want a late model car.
Not a late model.
Late model is a new car.
Oh, my bad. My English wasn't the English.
That's because you
No me empiece a joder.
Okay.
All right. So I think we're gonna end this here.
It. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, we hope that we've answered some of your questions. We are hoping, if you haven't.
Not we're hoping. We're always thinking positive.
Positive.
We will be.
We will. Well, that's the thing. I have to say hoping because you didn't know what I was gonna say, so you cut me off.
Okay, all right.
So rudely and meanly.
I apologize.
Okay, so I'm saying we're hoping that you will see more of our videos, and that we will be joining coaches live. So
Again for part 2?
Yeah, again for part 2. And also, if they have any questions, they can put it on the comments. But also, if they tune in to Coaches Live, we will be answering the questions live.
Right.
And
we're not hoping, we will be doing more of these kind of videos, he and I, and these, question and answer sessions between us, and hopefully, and not hopefully, but we will be doing some lives. We're gonna start getting up to the lives now. We're gonna join the live crew, live crew.
Yeah.
And we will be, Ricardo is a wealth of knowledge here in DR. I am the health person, I'm the nurse, so you can ask me all the health related questions. You can ask me all the female living here expat related questions.
And that's the part where I get off the chair.
And he will answer all the legal stuff.
Why?
Because that's your area of expertise. Your legal, your cop stuff, whatever, which most of the guys that
and
go
maybe
to
some, and maybe some.
would probably
leave the bros out of this.
Probably want to answer, what if I get in trouble?
You just had to go there, didn't you? That's it. I'm cutting this off.
All right. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Don't do it.
And please,
do it. Please do it.
Please share, because that brings us up in the algorithm, and we'll be able to, the YouTube.
YouTube is gonna treat us nicely.
They're gonna treat us nicely, and they're gonna, recommend us to other people, and then more people will know that we're here, and hopefully we'll grow. We want to grow. We're not in this for monetization. That's not our primary focus. No. We do this because we enjoy it, and we love meeting people, and we love helping people. So
yeah.
See you on the next video. Thanks for watching.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Ha! I didn't end it.